All right, so good morning. Welcome to week 5. This is the week 5 weekly podcast for the ENH295 Banned Books and Censorship class. Happy Valentine's Day. I got my red on today because it's Valentine's Day. And it was quite befitting that we were just reading a love story. Um, Very proud of the discussion that's going on in the forum right now on Annie. And if you want to keep discussing Annie, we can. But that discussion, the two, A and B, are over right now. So hopefully you were able to participate in at least one of the two discussions. If you did participate in both, then I will award you bonus points to add on to your first discussion if you needed those points. Okay, so let's get started with week 5. So I opened up a discussion last week asking that you choose the book that you wanted to read, and a lot of you jumped right in and chose your books. So right now we have for Endgame, we have Jermaine, Rebecca, Kelsey, Amanda, and Ashley. Okay, so you are holding down the fort for Endgame. You are responsible for reading that book, and you will be discussing and sharing information with the rest of the class on that book. So we'll talk more about that later. Then we have The Year They Burned Books. I think I have that book. Yeah, I have this one. I'm going to read it with you. But The Year They Burned the Books is Madison, John C., Amy, and Max. Okay, and then we have Good Moon Rising. We have Jeff, Trish, Emily, and David are reading Good Moon Rising. And then the last book no one wanted to read. I have this one as well. But I assigned Brittany, John H., and Megan to read this because you guys didn't step forward and tell me what book you wanted to read, and we needed all 4 books covered. So those are the reading assignments. So make sure that you have purchased your book. I got my book in 2 days, so I only paid $2 for one. Look at that, $2. Of course, you gotta pay about $2 for shipping, so it's really like $5. But anyway, it's cheap. So what I'm going to do is open up a discussion forum for each book, but I'm not going to ask any questions because I want for you to decide what questions you want to discuss or what you want to discuss about that book. So you need to take charge of your discussion forum and ask each other questions and also start providing information. Now, one thing I want for you to keep in mind is that discussion forum, think of it as an opportunity to share information about that book. What you write about this book and discuss about this book will be different than what we did with Annie, because if you remember, we all read Annie on My Mind. So when you talked about it, you knew who your audience who your audience was, and you knew that your audience was familiar with the book. But now your audience is not familiar with the book, so you do want to give us a little more information about the book. Also, if you find any links or videos and anything that you think would be helpful in us understanding the text and so forth. So you get to ask your own questions, but keep in mind that we do have objectives for the course. Let's take a quick look at those objectives. Okay, so I pulled the objectives or the competencies, same thing, off of the syllabus. And we've been doing a lot of these already. Explaining the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution as it relates to literature and other printed materials. Some of you were involved in that discussion 2A, and you talked a little bit about the First Amendment case. Not too many of you participated in that, but don't worry, we will have another opportunity to meet that competency later in the semester. So, but read the list. There's 8 competencies. Identify and explain factors that motivate people and organizations. Which of these competencies fit into what we're reading right now? I think some of the ones that would fit in with your discussion forum would be maybe 5 and 6. And they are just to read and analyze examples of banned or challenged literature. So analyzing them, talking about them like you have been in your journals. Also analyzing, presenting results of independent reading. That's the same thing basically. But here are 2 that I like, 7 and 8. It says work as part of a team, but we're not really doing a team project here. But maybe you could discuss arguments for and against banning or challenging that book that you are reading right now. These books are lesser known than Annie, so they haven't really been challenged as often as Annie on My Mind has. But maybe you feel that they should or that they shouldn't. It's up to you, but maybe that's something that you could talk about in your discussion forum. Also, it says articulate a personal position on the issue of censorship of printed materials. Okay, so we've done that a little bit already as well in the first discussion, where a lot of you came right out and said you are for or you are against censorship in certain areas, etc. But now we want to talk specifically about this text that you're reading. So keep in mind that you are focusing on the book that you are assigned to, okay? And your job is to share what you have learned from that book with the rest of the class who has not read that book, okay? So for this week, you will have a journal. This will be journal number 5, but this time the journal has to be on the new book that you are reading, and you will be participating in a discussion. So each of you will have your own little discussions. You only participate in the discussion with the book that you are reading. And again, you want to make sure that you post enough. Don't forget to share as much as you can. And then next week, we will start to mix it up a little bit. So I will assign certain people to check in on different groups to see what they have learned and picked up. So don't forget, you are teaching us, you are sharing information with us as well. Okay? All right, so that's it for this week, week number 5. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day and happy reading.